Hello and welcome to this very special episode of VistaTalks. I'm your host, Simon Hodgkins, and joining me today is my fantastic co-host, María Roa. Hi, María.
Hi, Simon. Thank you so much.
This episode is going to be a little different from our usual format. We've had the privilege of speaking with some truly remarkable guests who shared their insights, experiences, and expertise. So today we're going to revisit some standout moments, highlight episodes that maybe have left us with a lasting impression. The year has certainly been filled with incredible conversations. We've had deep dives into global strategies, and we've even talked about the future of AI. And of course, we've also covered personal stories of leadership and transformation. María and I are going to hopefully reflect on some of these memorable discussions, celebrate some of the highlights, and offer you maybe a fresh perspective on some of the most inspiring topics that we've covered this year. We want to thank everyone who supports VistaTalks, everyone who watches or listens to the episodes, subscribes, and of course follows us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and all the other platforms. And a special thank you to all our guests. We don't have enough time to mention you all in this episode, but we encourage everybody watching or listening to this episode to visit the website at vistatalks.com to see them all. So please sit back, relax, and join us as we relive some of the moments that have made this year's VistaTalks very special indeed. So let's get started. María, would you like to start and kick us off today?
Sure. As you say, first of all, thank you to everyone who have participated in any way to VistaTalks. And I think we could start talking about the numbers because you say we couldn't mention them all. And that's because this year we recorded 25 episodes with 25 amazing guests. Each episode, I think it brought unique insights and valuable discussions. Some of them were hosted by you, some of them were hosted by me, but they were all amazing. And we covered very different topics. Like I do remember, I think the ones that we touched the most were global business and leadership, healthcare and AI, technology, of course, content strategy and communication, and we could not forget localization and globalization. So I think we could start maybe talking about one of these topics, and one of the episodes that I really remember very well, which was Jeanette Linfoot. She was episode 152, and we were talking to her about global business and leadership. Jeanette is a former corporate CEO turned entrepreneur, mentor, and investor. She has over 30 years, I think, if I don't remember wrong, of experience in leadership roles at companies like Accor Hotels, Virgin Atlantics, and TUI. I know that was an episode that you recorded, Simon, but there were things that kept coming to my head. Like she shared her expertise of leadership and business growth. She emphasized the importance of being brave, bold, and brilliant in global business, which is something that she says a lot. And she mentioned being brave means leading yourself first. Boldness is about strategy, vision, and brilliance is about nurturing talent. And this is something that it got stuck to my head. So if someone has not watched that episode yet, I think you guys need to go and watch it for sure. That was episode 152. What do you think, Simon?
Yeah, Jeanette is a very special person, and she shares an awful lot of content about leadership. So I think that's a good one to kick us off, María. And while you're talking about leaders, I maybe should mention Noelle O'Connell. Noelle, for those people that haven't caught that episode, it's episode 156. And she is the CEO of the European Movement Ireland. She's also the vice president, I should add, of the European Movement International. And I mean, Noelle has a very distinguished career when it comes to European public policy. And I found it fascinating talking about leadership and also about country leadership, particularly with her role and her insights into Ireland and its evolving role within the European Union. She touched on many topics. Cultural diversity in business was certainly a big part of it, and the future of digital transformation in Europe. So that was a really interesting leadership one for me. And I also want to maybe give a special mention, if I can, real quick, to Amy, the Chief Executive Officer over at Clear Global. She's got over 30 years experience, right, as an aid worker, and the leadership that she provides to not only Clear Global as the CEO, but also people would be very familiar with Translators Without Borders, or TWB, and the non-profit organization and the leadership that she helps to provide, breaking down language barriers so people worldwide can access very important and vital information, I think is a really
Hmm.
strong person. I just wanted to mention when you're talking about leadership. So there's two from me. So back to you, Maria. Who else do you want to cover?
No, that's great. I think we did talk a lot about leadership and globalization. So maybe we could talk about AI, because AI and the future of AI was a huge topic. We cover it in all through the industries, like we talk about it into the healthcare industry, technology industry, localization industry. I mean, like how AI is going to affect us in any way was a huge topic in, I think, most of our conversations. And I especially remember episode 151 with Martin McCormack. You were also the host for that one, Simon. I think I've been skipping too many this year. Martin is the CEO of the College of Anesthesiologists of Ireland, and he is a member of several prestigious healthcare committees. And I remember in that specific episode, Martin discussed the role of AI in healthcare, including its use in decision making and training through high fidelity simulations. That was super interesting. He also mentioned that AI is revolutionizing, healthcare education in many ways. I would say like all type of education. AI is already there. But he did say that this is allowing for more precise and measurable training that enhance patient safety. And that's super important. Patient safety, by the way, is also a topic that we cover a lot in our Life Science in Focus podcast. So if someone is interested, just letting you know, you can go and check them out, because we do talk a lot about patient safety. But we did something else in healthcare, right, Simon? I think you
Oh,
recorded an episode with Martin Curley.
yeah, it was another Martin, actually. Yeah, Martin
Uh,
Curley. Before I say that, though, just going back to what you were talking about, that was a really good episode, because not only did he talk about AI, it also talked about robotics and AI, and they're doing some fascinating things there. That's definitely
yes.
worth revisiting, or maybe if you haven't caught that episode, go and take a listen. But you mentioned Professor Martin Curley, and an exceptional gentleman as well in the digital health space. A very illustrious career. I know he's worked with MasterCard and Intel. He was very senior in the health service executive in Ireland. And we talked a lot about stay left, shift left, and 10x improvement when it comes to healthcare and transforming healthcare. One of the topics in particular that Martin covered, which I really loved, Maria, was he talked about the UN Digital Health Symposium, and he used the term an intellectual super collider. And I love that term. You know, the fact
Okay.
that they have created this intellectual super collider, bringing 150 of the world's brightest minds together from tech, pharma, and healthcare sectors. It was a great discussion, and it's always good to catch up with Professor Curley.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And actually, we did talk a lot more about AI, as we were saying before. And one of the very specific industries we talk about AI was AI innovations in localization. I 100% recommend Sarah Basile in episode 147. During her interview, Sarah from XAM discussed the latest advancements in localization technology and how AI is transforming global communications. I think this is really important for all of us who are in the localization industry, but she also mentioned things that I think could be used in any other industries. She highlighted the importance of integrating AI to enhance efficiency and accuracy in localization processes. And as I said before, I think this should be done into any other type of processes. And I don't know what else, Simon. I know when it comes to AI and how it has affected the technology industry, we have also lots of guests.
I
Louise
spoke
McCormack, maybe?
to Louise McCormack. She was episode 149. And Louise does a really great job. She's a PhD researcher, I should say. And she focuses on trustworthy artificial
Mm.
intelligence. So in the world of artificial intelligence, obviously trust and ethics comes up a lot in that discussion. And Louise is really at the center of that world. She brings sort of academia and industry together, and she focuses on that critical area in the middle, which is the ethics and the governance. Such an important area. And in terms of the ethics space, she often leads conversations with industry and with regulators. And Louise, in that episode in particular, she explains how that dynamic is crucial for not only theoretical frameworks for AI, but the ethical guidelines that are developed by academics, which obviously influence all the major legislative and sort of government and country-led measures, such as things like the European Union ethics guidelines for trustworthy AI, and of course the overall AI Act. So that's if you want to get into trustworthy AI and the ethics, I think the episode with Louise McCormack, which I think was episode 149, definitely worth tuning into.
No, and I think you're right. That episode was very important because whenever we do a webinar or a podcast, ethics into AI, it's a topic that always comes out. I mean, like, it comes up, sorry. Everyone is always asking, like, what are the limits, what do we have to take into consideration whenever we use AI? So all the data that we get with AI, how should we treat it? So that is a really important episode. You say 149?
Yeah, well, I think
Perfect.
149 was Louise McCormack. Definitely worth watching or listening to. Yeah.
Perfect. And yeah, of course, we did talk a lot about localization and globalization. And I had the luck to interview Alessandra Vinazzi in episode 148. So I think maybe they could just watch 148 and 149. This is just like in a row. So localization and ethics in AI, that would be good. Alessandra, she's principal consultant at First Sites Consulting, and we talk about building effective globalization programs. She also mentioned how a successful globalization requires a deep understanding of local markets and the ability to adapt strategies to diverse cultural context, which I think it is the right key. Um, is there anyone else? I mean, I
Well,
know
if
there
you
are
if
like,
you're on the topic of localization, there sure is. I mean, when I think of localization and translation, I had three great people on the show this year. One would be Scott Abel. He's very well known in the
mm,
localization industry as the content wrangler. So a shout out to
yes.
Scott. Also spoke to Kevin O'Donnell. Kevin set up an organization called Global 10X, and we had a really good conversation about, of course, AI. That's sort of been the hot topic of 2024, localization, but also global strategy. And Kevin brought to life some real world examples of companies and how they need to sort of maybe put that strategy together. Some great experience there, particularly in the B2B product space. And of course, I want to mention as well, while we're on localization and translation and everything in between, I must mention the chief executive of Caption Hub, Tom Bridges. He was on episode 144. It was a fascinating conversation with Tom. The work that he's doing over at Caption Hub is really, really good. And he's a bit of a trailblazer in the industry. And the conversation around some of the innovative solutions, the speed at which AI is helping him to really work with content creation and localization. Fascinating episode. Tom, really great guy. to listen to. I know he's very well known on the localization scene. So there's 3 quick ones from me.
Yeah, and while we're in localization, while you were talking, I kept on thinking, and I do remember also Anne-Mash van der Meer. She's the head of sales, marketing, and events at Taos. I talked to her about the innovative strides that they are making in language technology. And of course, I do want to mention that localization and healthcare, localization and life sciences is also in life sciences. Sorry, it's also very important. And we interviewed Jackie Janeri, and she was talking about what are the difference between localization for any other industry and localization in healthcare. So I think that's also a really great episode to watch.
No, 100% it was. I mean, look, we've spoken to some really great people. Jackie Janeri from our own from VistaTech, very experienced person in life sciences. People like Tara O'Sullivan as well from Zevo Health, Maria. Tara was
Oh,
episode
yeah.
140, and the work that Zevo Health are doing when it comes to things like digital content, trust, and safety in that sort of evolving global legal landscape when it comes to sort of egregious content. Fascinating discussion with Tara O'Sullivan. So I wanted to maybe quickly mention Tara as well. But we've had so many guests, it's difficult. I want to talk about them all, but we
Yeah,
just
I feel
don't
like if
have the
we continue
time.
talking, we're going to mention the 25. Just gave it all away. No, if they want to, I mean, everyone can go to our webpage, VistaTalks.com, and check out the different episodes and choose the ones that they think they're more to their taste, maybe. Well, thank you so much, Simon. I think that's good enough to give them, as I'm saying, like a little taste, so everyone gets hooked. And if they haven't watched one of those episodes, they can go back and listen to it. So thank you so much to everyone for joining us on this very special holiday episode of Vista Talks. Thank you, Simon, for being the co-host of this show. I couldn't do it without you. And we hope you enjoy on our year in review and that you'll continue to be with us through 2025. Don't forget to follow us and stay tuned for more exciting content in the coming year. Happy holidays!